Update. Company car I was driving was hit by a drunk driver. Insurance fully paid for the car, but the company says I still owe them $40,000. Original post. I was on my way home from work in my company car when I was hit almost head-on by a drunk driver. He was found at fault by the police and the insurance company and was charged and convicted. His insurance settled with the company and gave them a payout to replace the car, which the company lawyer accepted. I am still off work recovering from my injuries, and I probably won't be back for 3 more months. Last month, I received a letter from the company stating that I owed them the cost of the car because I was the one responsible for it when it was totaled and written off. I thought it was a mistake or something, so I called the insurance company, got written confirmation of the settlement, and sent it in to them with a note that the car had already been paid for by the insurance company. Now they have sent me to a collection agency, and I have debt collectors calling saying I owe $40,000. I live in California. Do I call the insurance company to let them know? Or do I need to get a lawyer? Is them calling the debt collector even legal? Sorry if these questions are stupid, but I am already stressed enough from trying to recover, and this has just made it worse. Now for the top advice before reading the update. If they've already been compensated for the loss of the vehicle through the insurance carrier, they can't double dip and then request that you pay them. Obtain the company's insurance information and call the adjuster to see if you can find out whether the company was paid for the claim connected with your accident. Look at your contract if you have one. See what it says about vehicles and liability. If this is having a negative impact on your credit rating, call the credit reporting agencies and also send them a letter notifying them of an error in their reporting. According to the insurance company, the drunk driver's insurance paid my company $40,000 for the car, and this was accepted by my company's lawyer. The payment was made shortly after, and I have proof of that. I did tell the collection agency it was a mistake, and they said for me to talk to my company. My company tells me it's out of their hands, and I have to talk to their collection agency. Is it showing up on your credit report? Only asking because when you want to dispute an inaccuracy related to credit reporting, you usually need to provide anyone you are alleging made an inaccurate reporting with a copy of your credit report. It is showing on my credit report. I have perfect credit otherwise, so this is really pissing me off. The collection agency says they can't remove the debt unless my company tells them it is an error. I'm at a loss as to how your company could qualify as an institution that would be able to report this to any of the credit reporting agencies under the FCRA. If I were you, I'd contact my company's legal department first thing Monday morning regarding the inaccurate negative reporting and contact all 3 credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, to notify them that there has been an inaccurate reporting related to this incident. You will probably need to contact them all via phone and in writing. I have no idea what the laws for debt collection or sending a debt to an agency, so your guess is as good as mine. I said in a post above that because I thought it was a mistake and I had settled it by sending them all the stuff from the insurance company. Looking back in hindsight, I probably should have talked to a lawyer or something, but I am just so drained from physiotherapy and doctor's appointments I didn't do anything else besides sending them the stuff. Now for the update. So the TLDR version is that I was almost killed by a drunk driver while I was driving a company car. His insurance paid the blue book value, $40,000, to the company, but I was sent to collections and told that I owed them $40,000 for the car because I didn't return it to them in the condition which they gave it to me. No one at the company or the collections agency would help me, and they just sent me back and forth. Company told me to talk to collections. Collections told me to talk to the company. So I ended up getting a lawyer because the stress of being hounded by collections was setting back my recovery. The lawyer sent a very strongly worded letter to someone high up that I couldn't reach myself because I kept getting the runaround. That person didn't know anything about it, and the company launched an investigation. The 3 people who kept giving me the runaround ended up being charged with fraud and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know much, but the police say they have emails and they think the 3 were planning on keeping the payment for themselves since the company was already paid. They are also in trouble for fraudulently using company resources to send me to collections for a fake debt. Afterward, my company wrote me a letter of apology. They paid the costs for my lawyer and made sure the debt was removed from my record. They also made a donation to a charity of my choice. I am nearly ready to return to work, but they told me to take as much time as I need. After talking with the police, I believe the higher-ups were not aware because the police say the three were trying to keep it a secret. The drunk driver's insurance is paying all my bills related to the incident, so I won't have debt from this ever. All in all, I am doing much better. I would like to thank legal advice and everyone who offered advice and encouragement and sent me supportive messages. You were all so helpful and I appreciate it. This is pretty much the best update I've ever read in here. I can't imagine how 3 people at a management level somehow thought they could get away with it. Like you were just going to hand them a check for $40,000. Also, I want to work for your company. I also can't believe that they conspired to do so over email. Hey, let's commit a very serious crime through probably the most permanent method of communication. Doubly stupid if it was done through the company email. Did the conspirators think that OP would just fork over $40,000 without a hell of a fight? Considering they were stupid enough to try the stunt, yeah, probably. Not only stupid enough to try the stunt, but stupid enough to discuss it over email. Having worked in digital forensics a little bit, you'd be amazed to know just openly, people discuss their illicit BS on company or government-furnished equipment. I am nearly ready to return to work, but they told me to take as much time as I need. Translation: take all the time you need, but also, please don't sue the crap out of us. As much as it was in their own interest, I think their apology, which includes the remedy of any damage and some future perspective, was a great one and should be accepted without too much cynicism. Yeah, some companies aren't crappy. If your kid screwed someone over, you would probably offer a similar apology and it would be taken as genuine. Not every company is out to screw their employees. Last story. Update. Would I be the a-hole if I declined a volunteer job with a charity because they expect me to pay membership dues and have not been nice? Original post. For context, I have been volunteering for many years, and this has never happened to me before. I suppose it is a sign of changing times. I don't know what to do. Please give me your honest opinion, especially if you have had to pay for the privilege of volunteering your time and talents to a charity recently. So a local charity in my area asked me if I would sit on their 10-person steering committee. They had a vacancy. Of the 9 remaining people, 7 are employees or owners of large companies, big donors, gold sponsors of the charity. So when it was time for my interview with 4 members on a Zoom call, I specifically said I would be joining on my own, not from a gold sponsor company, and I asked what the financial obligation on me as an individual would be. I was assured there were none. They told me they are flush with cash from grants and not to worry about it. They were honestly great. I repeatedly asked what my responsibilities would be, and they said mainly monthly planning meetings, a member outreach subcommittee, and event planning. Cool. I don't have money, but I do have time and talent to offer. My talents are professional. This has not been a problem before. Then I met the committee chairman by himself in a Zoom call. Let's just say he was not very nice to me. He started by asking what I have to bring to the table. Why should they let me on the committee? I knew he had my entire bio. I am educated and so on. So instead of begging, I told him a true side story. That I was currently trying to get on the Founders Day Garden Competition Judges panel in town, but without much success since those people are very cliquey and don't welcome strangers. We laughed, and he spent the rest of the hour bragging about himself and his work. At the very end of the hour, he squeezed in that they would be leaning on me heavily for event work. There was no time left to ask him to elaborate. Fast forward to Monday, I get an email from him telling me the committee met and voted me in. I just had to complete an application packet with my picture, and they would cover your annual membership. I was shocked that there was a membership fee to donate my time, but since he said they were covering it, I just wrote back thanking him and said I'd get to work on the application packet. Later that day, I got a very terse email from his administrative assistant, one of the committee members I had not yet met. She said in no uncertain terms that he did not mean to say they were covering my membership fee, though that's exactly what his email said, and they expected my prompt $100 annual payment. It took the air out of my lungs for two main reasons, and I need to know what you guys think. First, 20% of my shock was the money. I specifically asked all the people I interviewed with what the expectations on me would be, especially the financial obligations, since I am not a wealthy gold donor and my employers are not sponsoring me on this or any other charity. Second, and 60% of the problem for me, is how disrespected I was. I was talked to like I was in third grade. Not an ounce of appreciation for the amount of event work I am about to be responsible for delivering to them, or any effort to be friendly in the process, like I was applying for a paid job. Third, the remaining 20% is my concern that more unwelcome obligation surprises await me if I take this on. Twice now, he has surprised me with weighty things. Honestly, I want to run away now before I am knee-deep into the work and end up letting down the other nice people at this charity. If I bail, what, if anything, should I say is my reason? I've been drafting all kinds of short replies in my mind for 3 days, and nothing is sounding good. Help! Thanks so much in advance. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Not the a-hole. I would reply to that email, attach the note about the membership being covered already, and CC in everyone that you talk to. Ask for clarification on the membership dues, and after you get whatever answer, tell them thank you for the clarification, but you are no longer willing to apply. Have the day they deserve. It eliminates the telephone game between members and lets them all know that there was some sort of communication breakdown. Yep, add everyone possibly involved onto that reply email. I would love to volunteer my time and knowledge to this great organization, but I feel like that is not being respected. If this is what it will be like moving forward, I would like to withdraw myself from consideration of a committee seat. I have dealt with a charity that started doing things like you're describing. I was literally the secretary of their board and had been for close to a decade. They wanted a biannual membership fee and a yearly donation. I literally ran their website, did event planning, set up the email, did catering, and was most of their PR and outreach. If I put it into weekly hours like a job, I was dedicating 30 to 50 hours a week to this charity while being a full-time caregiver, raising 2 kids alone, working full-time, and in graduate school. Yeah, time management and sleep were not things I was great at. I walked, and that's what I suggest you do. You aren't there to pay to be treated worse than an unpaid intern. Use the term indentured servant on them. It will make them mad. Not even 2 years after I walked, stating all of my reasons in a long email, which I also suggest you do, I got a call from the president begging me to come back to the board. She insisted that they had changed and were taking all of my suggestions to heart. In reality, they were down to 3 board members left, about to lose their nonprofit status, and had no one doing any of the things I had been doing. I'm running my own business and have an actual sleep schedule. My peace is worth something. So is yours, not the a-hole. Now for the update. Thank you so much to everyone who read and commented on my post about the charity that wanted me to pay them dues out of my own pocket for the privilege of donating my time and talents to their committee. I read every single comment. Your feedback really helped me to feel better. There was a huge outpouring of support for me and agreement that I was seeing signs of a dysfunctional group, to trust my gut, and to resign promptly. So that's what I did. I first emailed the very kind person who initially approached me to ask if I would join their charities committee. I wanted to show her the courtesy of hearing it from me first. My interactions with her were honestly always great, and I felt bad. I told her I was withdrawing my name, gave no details, and wished her all the best. She replied immediately with the sweetest email, offering to talk about it, and probably next week we will have a call. She asked me to please keep an open mind, that maybe it will work out in the future. Then the main email. I copied the secretary's rude message to me about membership fees and forwarded it to the chair. I double-checked, and as many of you correctly guessed, she had not copied him on it. My email to him was brief and polite, and followed your recommendations. I said that upon reflection, we would not be a good fit, and I was withdrawing my name from further consideration. I wished him all the best in the future. He emailed me back asking if we could talk about it. I replied, "Thank you. Perhaps we could collaborate in the future." But I was so glad to get away from this group and his leadership that I don't actually plan to revisit this for at least a year, if ever. I want you all to know how very much I appreciate your encouragement. You said to trust my gut, not to tolerate disrespectful treatment, that from your painful experiences you cautioned it would probably not get any better, that nothing is worth my peace, and that I can find a volunteer experience that will appreciate me and not require me to pay for the privilege. Thank you all. One gentleman suggested I should put up with the crappy treatment and pay the money, because this is what is required to climb the business ladders in society and improve my life. I know he meant well, but in reading it, I realized this is exactly the kind of thinking we were taught, and that I now reject. The idea that we have to prostrate ourselves to money and power in the hope that some might someday trickle down onto us if we are lucky. We might meet the right person, or get a new job opportunity out of it, or that in some way it will elevate us a rung or two in a few years. He believes there is a pecking order, and people at the top are not courteous to people below them. I love my life as it is. I am not looking to improve it in these ways. Lastly, some people mention there are charities where their boards are made up of paid representatives of large companies, where they are reimbursed for their time or their dues, and the time they dedicate to the meetings are comped by their companies for tax write-offs, perks, and mutual donations. That it is a whole culture. I know that. Clearly, that is not me. I told this charity that I was joining on my own. In the words of Elton John and Bernie Taupin, my gift is my song. I am a workhorse, not a show horse. I was not aiming to reap any business contact benefits from the volunteer work, just to be treated kindly and serve my community. I'll keep looking for other places to share my time and talents. Again, thank you all so much. I was going to volunteer. I was told by their recruiter that during training at a different facility, they like to yell a lot at the trainees. I laughed and said, if someone yells at me when I am giving you guys free labor because of a mistake I made during training, I am just going to yell right back. I don't like being yelled at. He said this is how they train. Okay, well, I guess this isn't going to work out then, as I won't be humiliated even if I was going to get paid, but that I'm doing this for free, and I expect some basic respect. I did not volunteer for that organization. Never let people treat you badly. Those are the worst types of people. I really appreciate your post. This is truth. I'm glad we both walked. Also, there's such a thing as chugging charitable mugging. There are tons of companies out there that practice this. This one seems to extort the employees as well as the customers. I wasn't familiar with this term, but it did occur to me that if they have plenty of grant money like they said they do, why are they charging anybody membership fees? The volunteers or the people we are supposedly trying to help?